Cloud is everywhere today, but what is the real differentiator of AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud?
Currently, AWS and Azure and GCP give the public cloud services in such a way that you need not have to go for any other alternate services outside. So everything is integrated at one place. Let it be AWS, Azure, or GCP. You have native clouds. You have third-party workload integration, API integrations, and other specific regions to of these three cloud service providers is Azure being very native to all the Microsoft products. You have all API integrations. So if you are an organization, you have to use one of the other services of Microsoft. Obviously, you'll prefer Microsoft products. So you have that integration facility with Azure. AWS is it's one of the world cloud service provider, and it holds major market share of cloud too. GCP holds strong database lake or database centric solutions and AML centric solutions.
Discounts and credits are still the most talked about aspect when choosing a cloud provider. How do AWS and GCP compare here?
So when we would like to compare the credit in terms of credits, what kind of facility that the client gets when you get onto the cloud, Azure and AWS give same kind of credits, and they have different programs to initiate your journey on the cloud. I prefer AWS because you have different plan for different enterprises. So if you are an SMB, you have a green roll up kind of plan where you get limit credits. And if you are an existing partner to Azure and AWS, so if you are upgrading your workloads onto the cloud, there is a different plan where you can enhance your leverage in getting more credits, even if you are an existing client to the cloud. And we have GCP plans also, but it's not that penetrative when compared to AWS and Azure. So there are no such kind of credit facilities with GCP. AWS and Azure hold a lot of credit facilities for sure.
We are an enterprise with a huge legacy IT department. So which cloud would be the most beneficial for our migration?
So legacy, when you say that you'll have a lot of historical or maybe your legacy data sitting on premises, maybe on other data. So in such cases, what you can do is you should actually analyze to get onto the cloud. First, you should analyze what do you actually hold on premises data center. Once you analyze that, the next step would be which cloud would be beneficial for you to get onto. So like I said again, the previous point, there are a lot of credit facilities given by AWS, Azure and GCP. So GCP I will not take it. AWS and Azure hold a lot of credit facilities. Once you analyze your workloads on premises, you can always test on those workloads before getting onto the cloud. That will help you to analyze which cloud is best option for you. Second point would be, since you have the legacy data, the legacy data again can be divided into number of preferences. So you need some kind of data which is readily available for your user, some kind of data which you just wanted to use it for the sake of audits and all. So we have different plans again in AWS for storage and all. So we have Glacier concept, we have storage standard concepts in AWS. Same with Azure, we have blob concept in Azure for storage. So based on that, you can analyze which cloud or which cloud storage or which cloud service is better fit for you, and accordingly you can choose the thing. So my take would be AWS. Example, AWS S3 got many standards within it: standard, Glacier, deep archival, which will help you to analyze which bucket to choose when you put your data onto the cloud. The same thing happens with EC2s also. So EC2 is nothing but the service on the cloud on AWS. When you wanted to test on simple workloads, you can always choose testing kind of service on AWS. We call it as T2, T3 service, where you can just test run. So we have R series workloads, R series service also in AWS, which will help you to analyze big data analytics, big data research workloads on AWS. So coming to Infosprint, we always approach a client on a solution note. So we never say that we have certain products with us or we have certain cloud solutions with us and then we're going to sell it. So once you approach it, we analyze complete your environment, on-premises environment, or maybe any third-party cloud environment, and then we give you a relevant solution on AWS or maybe on Azure that fits exactly to your requirement. And to do that activity, we have VAR engineers with us who reviews your complete existing environment, let it be cloud, let it be on-premises, and then give you the right size infrastructure over the cloud, which complies your cost, your size, your security, and everything. So we have both professional architects as well as reviewers who can review the existing infra, give you the right sized infra onto the cloud. That's how we approach.
AI is the big buzzword in 2025. Which platform is stronger for AI and ML workload?
To answer this question, AML is a buzzword, but all the cloud service providers are just extending their arms to get set onto the AML, because cloud is something which has come from the virtualization. Virtualization was the first concept that led to the cloud. Now the automation is something which is running, and then that is where cloud service providers are concentrating. So we are not even set on automation. So no service provider like AWS, Azure, name anything. So they are just budding themselves on AML. To name a few workloads on AWS and Azure, AWS has something called a SageMaker, which will help you to build containers, automations, machine learnings, and everything. Azure also holds certain kind of ML workloads, which will help you to automate few things. So that is what I'm telling. So AML is not completely set on cloud, or no service provider is giving. Automation is something which they are trying to build or upgrade themselves to the next level. It will take almost, I think it will take couple of years for us to get set on AML.
Looking ahead to 2026, which platform might companies cautiously avoid and why?
See, I would say the recent, from April to till date, this financial year, Google Workspaces, it's part of mail service provision from Google. So they have increased their prices by 60%. So it was earlier costing some X price. It has gone up to X plus, means almost 78% of price change has happened from GCP. AWS and Azure are competitive to each other, but still they are giving a lot of integrations within them. They are trying to improve themselves in terms of services that they are giving, which is not happening with GCP. So they are very good at Google Workspace. Even that is also getting lost because of price changes, huge price hikes from GCP. I think GCP may not survive in terms of infrastructure, cloud infrastructure. Workspaces also they are going down. Azure and AWS gonna hit the market like anything. To give you the real numbers across the globe, 2024 cloud infrastructure revenue was 696 billions in dollars, and by 2032 it is expected to grow up to 2,200 billion dollars. So think of the margin that AWS and Azure are gonna occupy in the next 5-6 years. So obviously it's gonna be only AWS and Azure for sure.